Hi everybody, it's Nina Rowan Heller and this is Energy Advantage recording for episode 3 and 4. So to begin with, I want to do something for everyone that's watching. I want you just to get quiet, get settled, sit for a moment, take a deep breath, and just feel your feet on the floor. Feel your body either sitting, how you're sitting in a chair, feel lean against the back. If you're standing, feel your muscles that are used in order to stand. And I want you just to breathe and get really centered. Just take a few deep breaths so that you can feel being in this moment. There's way too much stuff going on right now, and we are reacting a lot. And I want us to be really proactive for the next few minutes as we go through this. This is your time. Okay, so just really taking a deep breath and understanding, okay, I'm watching this, I'm going to take time because it's recorded and you're not having to participate. You could just relax and lay down, relax and just chill and take this all in for you. So the first two sessions that we talked about, we went through a lot of our circumstances, our current circumstances, and to go through the understanding of the emotions. There are so many videos out there that can teach you exercises, and that's super important, and I want to make sure that you've got that in your calendars. We talked about the things to make sure you have in your calendar to give you energy. But what I want to really address in our series is really to address what happens sort of in our head and in our heart. These are really emotional times, and understanding about our emotions and managing that can really help us get through this and actually accomplish and achieve when we are on the other side. So I wanted to just review about crisis is a great time for change. Lots of people are in grief, including ourselves, and we may move through grief throughout the course of even a day or a week where we're feeling really great, and then we sort of have a low and we go into denial and anger again, and maybe some depression, and then have to work back up out of that to get to acceptance and then into some action. And just validating that you have those feelings or other people have those feelings is super helpful. But if you're listening to this video, it means that you're probably one of the structured ones that is going to be able to manage this in a way that other people will follow. And so we will call those the leaders, that you're watching this, that you are paying attention and insightful about you and your actions and your behaviors, and maybe paying attention to others. So this is a time, this is a really reflective time, because the world has said, stop, you are quarantined at home, there are things that you're not going to be able to do. So that's a great time for change. So I want to talk about some things to go through about the pattern interrupt, which is what we're in. We're interrupting all of our past patterns. So is there anything you really want to accomplish during this time? This is a great time. And so we go back to the schedule, making sure that you've got what you want to accomplish in the schedule. You're following a schedule, and that is giving you predictability, which is a component to go against chaos, is this predictability that I follow my schedule. So even though it's all changed from what it was a month ago, I follow this schedule, there's a predictability there. Your whole system is calmer knowing that there's a predictability. So it really is addressing your mindset by just putting that in place. And so I also want to just address some of the other aspects from this. So as we go through and we're grieving, to know that this grief can come and go, especially when the deadline is moved. So we keep seeing the stay-at-home guidelines where the date is pushed back. And for people who are really driven, moving the finish line is an incredibly frustrating event. It's frustrating for everybody, but for people who are really, really driven, this is cause for being angry. And so to just understand, as soon as you hear that, think, okay, so I'm in denial, I'm in anger, I'm going through some depression, working towards acceptance. Okay, that's my new deadline. So what I want you to think about is think about the goals that you can accomplish. And even the word goal is kind of a heavy word for some people, because they'll equate it to something like running a marathon or achieving a big financial goal. What I want you to think about this is coming from a place of intention. I want to have some intention during this time to accomplish something. And that intention, when you have that intention, it's just like going on a road trip and knowing where you're going instead of getting in the car and just driving. So if, for example, let's say your intention is to increase your cardiovascular health. Now that sounds really global, kind of a big catch-all, but I want you to think of it instead as I'm going to run the stairs, I'm going to run more stairs or faster time or be able to do it for longer. So yes, and then the result will be that your cardiovascular health will increase. For me, my husband and I went pretty much plant-based again, and so all of a sudden I'm cooking all the time, which we like to eat out. So the idea that I'm being creative and having to really go back in my brain to all plant-based recipes, my goal is through this that I will have a really good set of what I refer to as no-brainer meals, where I don't have to think about them, I just make them, and they're super easy. And I'm having to use recipes and look things up, which is not typically the way that I have cooked for the last 30-something, 40 years. So having this, I said, okay, I'm going to have really good 5 no-brainer meals that are my go-to. And I think my quinoa, broccoli, chickpea with avocado and this Green Goddess dressing from Trader Joe's is one of my new no-brainer meals because I've made that twice and it's super yummy. You roast all the vegetables and then put it on the quinoa and with some avocado and stuff. Super yummy. So I've discovered one of them, but my goal is, we've just moved our date to May 8th in Austin for our stay at home, and I want to have 5 good no-brainer meals to have. Exercise-wise, picking something that's a real challenge for me it makes it easier. So like, for example, I don't really ride my bike a bunch, but I've started doing that with my husband and riding up hills. I really can tell that I am not in as good a shape to climb hills. And so I have a beginning where I'm like, I'm not as good with this. And then my goal is going to be that I'm going to be able to attack these hills differently. My goal right now is just to get up them without ever having to jump off my bike. And so far that's been okay, but I want to be able to do them well and not even slow down. So pick something, push-ups, any kind of balance work, running stairs, anything that you think, gosh, what could I be doing? And what would be something that would be a little bit of a challenge so I can feel accomplished? Because having a goal creates optimism. And we need a lot of optimism right now. It's much easier for people to speak up about pessimism or negativity, and much more difficult for people to speak up about optimism, because when you're angry, you want to release. When you're optimistic, you'd love for everybody to join, but it doesn't necessarily make you pick up and videotape and send out messages to share your optimism. And so we will be bombarded with the pessimism and the negativity. And again, fear is that real following energy. It's not a leadership energy. It's not an accomplishment energy. It's not an action energy. And the idea that we might feel a little bit of fear, and as soon as we can shift that to courage, which is I feel it, but I'm taking action anyway, then we can get into that place of being more optimistic and moving forward. So that courage and optimism, those are energy in, moving forward kinds of things. And that's what we really need right now. So looking at goals and understanding that even if I create a small goal about, organizing something in your house while you're there, or a project that you really wish you had gotten to at some point in time, a storage unit. I've been hearing about people that have gotten rid of their storage things and gone through their garages, all kinds of stuff that they've taken years to do. When you accomplish a goal that has been a goal in the back of your mind for years, it's a huge goal, and the payoff is huge. So look in your life and think, what are some things that I've really always thought I want to do, but I never had time? Because you might have time now. And so really think about what are those, because those are big payoffs. So that works really well. Something else to understand during this time, which is really challenging, is understanding that people around you are having a variety of emotions, and oftentimes you might be a person who can be supportive or helpful during these times. When something is tragic or difficult or heavy, a lot of times the person that's on the receiving end of the information or that conversation, and we can just play this back. Anybody can think about when you've had a divorce or a death of a spouse or a death of a family member, and when you talk to somebody and you tell them that, yeah, I've been having a hard time, or someone says, where have you been? And you're like, this happened to me. And you see people go, oh my gosh, and they cover their mouth or their chest. That's their life force that is leaving. We know that that makes us go, oh my gosh, and we have to stop. What you want to think about, though, is not only just not losing your life force when someone is telling you something, but also to just go to compassion. And what that means is you don't necessarily have to think, how would that be if it happened to me? And that's oftentimes the number one go-to for people when they're having a challenge with something heavy that somebody sent to them. For everybody that's ever gone through a divorce, you can tell people and they'll say, yeah, when I mentioned that I was going through a divorce or I'm getting divorced, and people are shocked and amazed, and then they say, I'm sorry, and then you can see that they're going, oh my God, I always thought they were going to be married forever. I think I'm going to be married forever. What if I get divorced? Now I'm thinking about my divorce possibilities instead of just being present with this person and their emotions. So in this time period where we're having some really significant things, where people are getting sick and people are dying and people are connected to other people that are dying, is to focus on taking that deep breath like we did at the beginning of this video and say, all right, this is their emotion, not mine. And I want to be there to just listen, to be supportive. And when you're that present with somebody, people can feel it. They can actually feel it. They can feel it on a Zoom call. They can feel it on a phone call, a FaceTime, or in person. They can feel that you're right there with them in that moment. And in order to do that, you just have to be mindful of it. And so during this time, that compassion that you have, if you can just take that deep breath and say, I'm going to listen to what they said. I'm going to understand their feelings. I don't have to go, how would that be if it happened to me? That's not empathy and compassion. That is taking someone's emotions and hijacking them and making them about you. So to be a compassionate, understanding person, just think, wow, that's heavy, and let me take a deep breath and get centered. Let me feel my feet on the ground and let me listen to what they have to say. Because in the weeks coming and up to this point, a lot of people are having a lot of challenge. And whether it is actually dealing with the virus or the loss of people or financial challenges or losing businesses, there's a lot of change. And it's very, very, very difficult to be in the midst of that change and have anybody say everything's going to be okay, it's all going to work out. The first thing is to just validate what they're feeling. I am so sorry. I can hear how hard this is on you. Is there anything I can do to support you? Validate. They are not ready to see the sunshine and the end of all of this and working through this. They need someone first to validate. If you hear someone who is constantly complaining about the same thing over and over and over again, they're saying something about their job or their finances, there's two things that are happening. One is that their perception of talking about it may actually make them believe that's an action, that they're doing something, that they're taking action to make a change. So you have those people that will talk about the same thing over and over again. The second thing is that they may be mentioning it to you several times because they need you to validate it. They need you to say, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. What do you need? What can I do to help? And even just acknowledging, I don't know what to do to help you, but I'm here for you. That's a great, honest response that tells someone they are present with me. So sometimes if you can think about times where it's been really challenging and you've really struggled and someone just sat with you and held your hand or hugged you or let you cry on their shoulder, that's the kind of response. You don't have to have all the answers or fill in all the blanks just to be there, because it feels very alone when you go to that place where something is so difficult. I used to think of those moments as like having them right up in your face, that they were so close, there's nothing you can do, and you just want to back away, you want to withdraw. When someone stands with you in those moments, it makes that not feel as pressured. It makes you not feel like it's up in my face and I have nothing. I have somebody here anchoring me to another part of the world that says the world is okay. So if you can really think that is a gift for someone else, and it's also a gift for you. There's no reason to catastrophize your life when things aren't really happening to you. There's no reason to, this is just a social media thing, that whenever anybody sees something tragic that has happened, that you say, I was 5 miles away from that. Oh, I was just down the street. Oh, I know somebody that lives in that building. All of those comments are things that say, hey, I just made this about me. I just made this tragedy or this thing happen, like, oh my God, that was so close to me. That could have been me. Instead of just getting right there, being there, present, and validating the person's feelings. So I think that's going to be something that's really, really helpful for the next couple of weeks. So now going back to what we're really talking about for ourselves and what to do from here is to understand that by having some goals for ourselves to achieve, that will create optimism. And we need lots of optimism. And optimism is forward-moving energy. So create goals. Think of them as small micro goals, little habits. Call them whatever you want to call them, even if goals is a heavy thing. Think, okay, so this is what I'm facing and I want to make this better, or I want to do this better. So that can keep you moving forward. Again, the idea of understanding that we're all in grief, and whether or not we stay in denial or anger about it, or we work through those steps at different times about different issues, because every time they extend the deadline, people go through denial, anger, working towards go through depression, acceptance, and then come up with that forward movement. We all have to do that because someone just took something away. We've lost a lot, and that's okay. It means that there's space for new things. This is the time that we're going to be able to create amazing connection with people. We are understanding how important and how valuable connection is. We're understanding about how important it is not to be isolated. We're seeing what those challenges are on a daily basis, and we're understanding that those are things, wow, let's do this differently this next time. Let's create something differently this next time. So we've sort of torn down a lot of those things so we have the opportunity to say, I want to do business in a way that I care about all my clients. I want to share with the world about things instead of feel like I'm so busy I don't have time to talk to anybody or see anybody, and I've got to chase and run around and do things. I want to remember what's important. We know that in this moment where if you scan through and say, okay, so if today is my day that I happen to be on the planet and I'm no longer, is there anything I want to do? And you might think, I want to call all these people. I want to say these things. This is the time to do it. This is the time to go ahead and accept, wow, this is our situation. It gives me this great opportunity to see what would it be like if I couldn't see people, if I can't talk to people. How do I do a virtual hug? Something to understand and know is that people feel your energy, even if you're not right across from them physically. That if you take the time to say, I care about you, I am here for you, I'm giving you a virtual hug, and you say, just pause for a minute, I want you to feel it. We are all connected. And that's science. It sounds woo-woo, and I understand that even sometimes when I say that I am a bridge for conventional to unconventional. That's actual science. We are energetic beings. We have phase angles and capacitance that are measured just like they measure electricity. Our cells have phase angles and capacitance that we measure, that we can tell how healthy we are. An apple has a phase angle. Live trees, grass, everything has phase angles. We're alive and we are energetic and we are connected. So if we really want to make a change in this situation, in this world, is to really focus on those people, ourselves, that are listening to this kind of chat and say, okay, I can be optimistic, I can be connected, I can be powerful for others by being present. These are the things I can accomplish right now in this situation. So if you have any other things that you need help with about your schedule, things to tune in for a community, any of those kinds of things, let me know, nina@rowanhealth.com. Or if you want to share this video, the reason I do this same chat two different ways. One with a group where people are actually on and communicating, and then one that I record so that it can be shared all over. So share this with others, people that you know that need help to see a little bit more of the light at the end of this tunnel. This is what we are dealing with. And there's no reason to put any energy into trying to make anything different than what we know today is for us. What we can do is change how we feel and how we behave and how we act and how we love on each other and are being connected to each other. So my name is Nina Rowan Heller. Take care.